الحمد لله رب العالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وأصحابه وأزواجه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وبعد. After 2 months we'll resume inshallah Rabbil Alameen discussing the laws of the Islamic business. And I believe last time we stopped at discussing the credit card and the charge card, and we mentioned that it is no different in any way, shape or form than Riba of Jahiliyah, the Riba of the era before Islam, the Riba of the days of ignorance. And we mentioned that there is not much difference between a credit card and charge card. We discussed that, correct? Yes? No?
I think so. I mean, I am actually a little bit fuzzy, but I think we went into cards. And
yes, because
yes.
my note, I left them as is, like this. See, I came back to them as they are.
No, sorry.
Jake, that was the last topic we touched. You're right.
Say it again.
Yeah, that is the last topic we touched last time.
Yes, it was. And did we discuss the definition of a grace period?
I don't
No,
think so. No.
Okay. Definition of a grace period: a provision in most loan and insurance contracts which allows payment to be received for a certain period of time after the actual due date. Understood?
No.
Anybody did not understand?
So essentially, sometime after the time for payment has passed, that is called that extra, sometime extra over the time that you were
an extended time after the due date.
no.
Okay.
No.
During this period, no late fees will be charged, and the late payment will not result in default or cancellation of loan. Here it says in my notes, a typical grace period is 15 days. And this is extremely important, that just because there is a grace period does not make this transaction, this contract halal in Islam, lawful in Islam. Still, it is riba, it's prohibited, it is usury, it is interest-based contract, regardless if there is this grace period or not grace period. Some people said, well, I will pay in full during this grace period. Tell him nobody can guarantee that. Still, even at the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi wa sallam, they used to have this grace period, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the prohibition of Riba of Jahiliyah. طيب, any questions so far about this?
Sheikh, what was the grace period at the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam?
Well, it's coming, inshallah. It's coming. We're going to discuss the narrations, inshallah. Good.
I had a question. So isn't, be it grace period, no grace period, you're still signing up to a contract that has provisioned the unlawful, the haram, riba. So in the end, you still cannot say it's fine just because it has a grace period, because you're still signing up for it. Is that a correct statement?
That is the very correct statement, because you already entered into a haram contract. That's why my Sheikh Umar al-Ashqar, he attended a conference here in America, I believe it was Chicago. This is about 30 some years ago. And somebody was arguing with him, and he said, what about if the provision says that will make you drink khamr or commit adultery after the grace period? Would you accept that? And of course, the person little bit get offended, I said, of course not. Told him, well, riba is much worse in sin than drinking khamr, alcoholic beverages, and or committing adultery. Although people do not perceive it sometimes, but the prohibition is what Allah made haram, and the halal is what Allah made halal. And the severity of the prohibition is decided only by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not by our own judgment, feelings, or taste. Get it? You get it, Habibi? You are right about your statement.
Okay.
Now, what is a credit card grace period? A grace period is the period of time a credit card company gives you to pay your new charges without having to pay interest on the new balance. Any question about this? One more time. What is the credit card grace period? A grace period is the period of time a credit card company gives you to pay your new charges without having to pay interest on the new balance. Good so far?
Yeah.
Okay. The grace period runs from the end of a billing cycle to the next payment due date. If you make a purchase on a credit card, you may have a window, an opportunity of time to pay off the new balance without paying finance charges. This is called a credit card grace period. Good so far?
No, so this is a month's time before you pay for it.
We do not know, depends about which company, but they give you a certain time to pay, a certain time after the due date to pay your debt.
Yeah.
And if you pay it during this grace period, they will not level any charges, any interest against you. But if not, they will what? They will extend the time for you, but you have to pay the fees, the late fees, the interest, the penalties, whatever they have in the contract.
Yeah.
Good so far?
No,
It is basically an interest-free period, but only if you pay your balance by the due date. This is a quote, quote unquote. It is basically an interest-free period, but only if you pay your balance by the due date. What is the due date? The end of, before the end of the grace period. Clear? Clear so far?
Yes.
Good. Paying in full during the grace period does not give you a break on cash advances or convenience checks, which, unlike purchases, usually begin building up interest immediately. That's a very good disclaimer. Paying in full during the grace period does not give you a break on cash advances or convenience checks. You understand this?
Not quite, no.
Okay. Let's assume that I went and instead of using my credit card to buy things, I do not have a credit card. I do not, just in case. I do not want somebody one day said, well, I heard the Sheikh saying, if I use my credit card, I do not have it in any way, shape, or form. Paying on full during grace period does not give you a break on cash advances or convenience checks. What does that mean? Let's assume somebody used his credit card to buy things. Good. Buying things is different than receiving cash. If you say, okay, give me cash. He used his credit card to get cash from the company. Okay? If you receive cash, you are taking a loan cash. And this loan cash does not have a grace period. Immediately when they loan you the money, the interest will go on from the minute you receive the cash. Get it?
Yes.
Yeah, and if somebody goes to the ATM and he uses his credit card to take cash, or goes and use it to get a check, this does not fall under the grace period.
I didn't know that you could go to ATM with a credit card, but that's just my ignorance. So basically, there is this cash advance that they're giving you, and they start charging you immediately, and the grace period is going.
Yes.
No.
Get it?
And then, no. So only purchase. So the credit card only purchases that you make from the credit card, those are under the grace period.
Only when you are paying with your credit card for purchases.
Right.
You are right. That's why it says, let me read the full thing, the full sentence, or the full paragraph. Paying in full during the grace period does not give you a break on cash advances or convenience checks, which, unlike purchases, usually begin building up interest immediately. Got it?
No.
Read it one more time.
No, we're good, Sheikh. I don't know if somebody else has any.
Say what?
I think we can continue, Sheikh.
Okay, it's very good. Now, the next part, some balance transfer may also be excluded from a grace period, depending on the terms of your card. Some balance transfers may also be excluded from a grace period, depending on the terms of your card. What does that mean? Anybody knows what does that mean?
That you could have a loan somewhere else, and you could transfer some of that to your credit card.
This is a little bit more specific. Let's assume that somebody has a credit card with MasterCard, and he had a better deal on the interest with another issuer of cards, and he wants to transfer it all to the new company. This does not make it does not necessarily free you from paying the interest. Depends on the terms of your contract. Example, somebody has $1,000 with MasterCard and he is paying 21% interest on it. Okay, then he found a good deal with Visa card, credit card, and he wants to transfer it to the Visa card because it is 16%. Good. Now the person needs to read the contract to see if this falls under the grace period or not. If he does it within the grace period, will have no interest to be paid, or he still has to pay the interest. Good so far?
No, I'm sure.
طيب. Now, what was Riba of Jahiliyah during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed its prohibition and abolished it. First, let's have this quote from Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu. And the quote reads, عن ابن عباس قال إنما الربا أخر لي وأنا أزيدك وليس عجل لي وأضع عنك. Ibn Abbas said riba is extend the term of the loan for me and I will increase payment to you. It is not advance the payment of the loan and I will discount for you. ربا الجاهلية أما أن تقضي وأما أن تربي. The famous quote, either you pay or you have to pay the interest. If you do not pay, you have to pay the interest, and we'll explain to you. So Ibn Abbas says the riba, the prohibited riba, is not the prohibited riba is now the loan, gave you a loan with no interest whatsoever, and it says that you pay it on a certain date. When the certain date comes, either you pay in full, but if you do not pay in full,
Sheikh, your audio broke up. We cannot hear you.
get it?
Sheikh, your audio broke up for a minute. We couldn't hear you.
That's good. Ibn Abbas saying what? Riba is extend the term of the loan for me and I will increase the payment to you. That is the riba. What does that mean? People at that time, they used to give what? Free interest-free loans up to a certain date. Interest-free loans up to a certain date. يعني somebody will come to Abu Jahl and will say, can I borrow 1,000 dinars from you? That I will pay you on January 2022. Good. Say, okay, no interest on this loan. You have to pay it on the 1st of January 2022. When the time comes, they tell him what? It is time to pay. If you do not pay, إما أن تقضي وإما أن تربي. Either you would pay it in full and no interest, or we can extend the time. It is okay, you have another month, but for this month, we're going to start charging you interest on the loan. So far, so good?
No.
Okay. He said this does not apply to the reversed. What is the reversed? I borrowed from an ex-person $100 to be paid on a certain date. On that certain date, before that certain date, the lender cannot come and tell me, okay, pay it. You have to pay it now and pay it in full. But either I, the borrower, or the lender can make an offer. And the offer, the lender will come to me and say, Ya Ghassan, I lent you $100. I know it's not due. I know it's still time for you. But what about if you pay me now? And instead of paying me $100, I'll take 80 and we'll call it what? Even. If we agree on it, I will pay him the $80 and that will be the end of the loan. Or I will go to the lender and I say, you lent me 100 dinars, $100, and it's still 6 months until I pay you. I came up with some money. What about if I pay you now and you do not have to wait, and we'll call it even. Said, how much you're going to pay me? I said, I'm going to pay you $50. Yeah. Said, okay, I'll take it. I'll take the $50. Here is your contract. We are even. You do not owe me anything. Ibn Abbas says what? It is not riba, and he is correct, although there is some disagreement among the scholars, but the disagreement is invalid. Good so far? So, Riba al-Jahiliyah was, in their phrase, إِمَّا أَن تَقْضِي وَإِمَّا أَن تُرْبِي. Either you pay on the due date, and you pay in full, or we can extend the time, and we start charging interest on the loan.
Sheikh, a quick question. Can we preset this? So can I come to you and say that
I was going to mention it.
Right.
The discount on the loan cannot be conditional. If it's conditional, it is riba. So when we sign the contract should not say in any way, shape, or form, direct or indirect, explicit or implicit, if I pay earlier in full or some installments, I will get the discount. This is the riba. And that's why in these so-called Islamic contracts, they play the games. They said, well, the bank reserve the right to discount the loan if paid in advance, because Islamically it is allowed to discount the loan if it's paid in advance. This is if it is done without any precondition. If it is a conditional, then this is the riba. Same thing, being extra on the loan, as we explained it earlier. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam used to borrow, and when he used to pay more. He was used to borrow, for example, 100 dinars, and when he pays it back, he will pay 200 dinars. He used to take a little lamb, and when he used to pay it back, he will give a big, huge, fatty ram. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, what? خيركم أحسنكم قضاء. The best among you, the one who pays back the loan in the best way, or in a better way. So if it's conditional, it is haram. If it's unconditional, I borrowed from someone 100 dinars, I have to pay it back 100 dinars. No more, no less. But out of my heart, and showing gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and after that to the person who helped me, I said, yeah, Ahmed, I borrowed from you 100 dinars. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to Allah for being in my life. Here is 150. Well, no, I just gave you. I said, yes, I know that you gave me this. You did not require from me to pay me more than that, but out of gratitude, and it's a thank you, another $50 dinars is for you. This is halal. But if it is in the contract, this is still riba. Get it, Habibi?
Though there is an implication of that, Sheikh. It's subhanallah, Islam always has some great hikmah. It's never stated, but it's so deep. So if it was preset, there would be serious implication of that. But even with this, you could play around. So for example, I could make it a business that I come to say, I wanna get $100 from you. I don't need anything. I just want to borrow $100 from you. So he says, okay, I know you're trustworthy. So I take $100 from him. And then I come to you and I say, I want $200 from you. I don't need it. I just want to borrow some money from you. You give me out of your trust. And then after I set up a time with both of you for 6 months. And after 3 months, then I can come and say, I'll give you $80. I'll pay now. So in essence, I mean, with one person, I may not be able to do it many times, but with big enough loans, with enough people, I could be really taking advantage of the situation. Actually,
You can take advantage of drinking water, anything, anybody can take it. But how many people are going to fall into this?
yeah,
You can, yeah, taking advantage is always.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I'll tell you a joke. A Bedouin was visited by a person from the city, and the custom of the Bedouins, they are very hospitable, very generous, very kind, very welcoming, always having open doors. So this Bedouin immediately got to his sheep, slaughtered a sheep and cooked it and served it to the person from the city. And the person from the city got moved with it and told them, I'm so grateful to this. Here is my address. Anytime you come to the city, you are my guest. With me so far?
No.
So this Bedouin, every time he went to the city, he would look up this person and went there. First time, second time, and this city guy said, oh, it seems that this person is going to live with me from now on. So the third time, he went and bought a sheep, and he went to that Bedouin in his desert and said, here is your sheep, and never ever let me see your face again.
Sorry. Alhamdulillah.
Got it?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, we have these things. We have some people, you do not have to have these things. We have some people, mixed habit. Can I borrow $10? Can I borrow $20? Can I borrow $30? Can I? Usually they are not borrowing it. They are asking basically for a gift or a charity. Because from the practice, they never even made an attempt to pay back anything, regardless if it's $20 or $200, at least with me. Yeah, but I know from the conversation that they are saying, may I borrow it? It is just a safe face, which is a good thing to do. But in reality, they are asking for what? For an assistance, which is fine too. Good, Habibi?
No, sure.
Good so far? طيب. Next, I want you to pay attention, and all these narrations are very authentic, very well documented. Next, inshallah, and I'm reading from Musannaf Abdul Razzaq. The first one was from Musannaf Abdul Razzaq and from Al-Istithkar Ibn Abd al-Barr. The second thing from Musannaf Abdul Razzaq al-San'ani. And the narration reads, إنما الربا أخر لي وأنا أزيدك وليس عجل لي وأضع عنك. We discussed this one. Next, we're going to read from Muwatta Malik. And this is a very authentic chain, and this chain of narration is very well known. And Imam Malik says, reported from Zayd ibn Aslam, which is a tabi'i, which his name is Zayd ibn Aslam al-Qurashi al-Adawi, al-Tabi'i al-Thiqa, who died in the year 136. Very well-known tabi'i. And the narration reads, زيد بن أسلم قال كان الربا في الجاهلية أن يكون للرجل على الرجل الحق إلى أجل، فإذا حل الأجل قال أتقضي أم تربي، فإذا قضى أخذ وإلا زاده في حقه وأخر عنه الأجل وعنه في الأجل. موطأ مالك. Malik related that Zayd ibn Aslam said usury, interest in the Jahiliyah was that a man would give a loan to a man, another man, for a set term. For a set term. When the term was due, he would say, will you pay it off in full or pay usury, pay interest? If the man paid in full, he took it. If not, he increased him in his debt and extended term for him. Extended term for him. So far, so good?
No.
Okay. If you do not understand, if I'm speaking gibberish, you can ask.
No, this is good, Sheikh. So basically, it's fixed interest in this case. It's not
It was a loan without interest first.
No, it's not compound, is what I'm saying.
Speak it up, please.
It's not compound interest in this particular narration. It's a simple interest in this case.
It started, but later it will be compound.
Okay. Sure.
That's why Allah revealed, وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا الرِّبَا أَضْعَافًا مُضَاعَفًا.
No.
Because if he's late again, they are going to what? Charge him interest on the loan and on the interest and so on and so forth, and which they used to do that.
No.
So it starts simple,
No.
then it goes to compound.
Right.
Good?
No.
So what they used to do, a person will come borrow money from another person, and it is interest free for a certain period, for a grace period. Good?
No.
When the period is over, they will tell him, okay, it's time to pay. If they pay in full, that's it, they take it, and there is no late fees, there is no penalties, there is no interest. If they are late, they will extend the time and they start charging interest. And this is one of the forms of Riba of Jahiliyah during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Still, even though the grace period, Allah made it haram and it was abolished. So just because you have a grace period does not make a contract that states that there is interest if you are late, does not make it halal, does not make it lawful, does not make it legal in Islam. Good so far?
No.
طيب. Next one, and I'm reading from Tafsir Ibn Jarir, and these narrations are basically in many other collections of hadith, but we are choosing the most authentic chain of narration. And this is in Tafsir Ibn Jarir al-Tabari, and Qatada. Qatada is التابعي الثقة الجليل قتادة ابن دعامة السدوسي. Qatada is one of the main students of Ibn Abbas رضي الله عنه. Qatada died sometime after the year 110, could be 111, 12, around this area. And he is very trustworthy. And Qatada, أن ربا الجاهلية, pay attention please, يبيع الرجل البيع إلى أجل مسمى، فإذا حل الأجل ولم يكن عند صاحبه قضاء زاده وأخر عنه. Translation. Abu Ja'far Muhammad ibn Jarir al-Tabari reported on the authority of Qatada that usury in Jahiliyah, riba in Jahiliyah, interest in the Jahiliyah, was that a man would sell something on a credit to someone else for a set term. That means he sells him a camel on a credit with no interest, but the price has to be paid after 6 months. For a set term. When the term was due and the customer did not pay the debt, he increased him in his debt and extended the term for them. for him. Clear so far?
No.
Okay. One more time. First hadith, the hadith of Zayd ibn Aslam, it used to be loan, cash. They will give cash and it is interest free as long as it is paid on a certain date. After the certain date, if they do not pay in full, they will level interest on that loan. The hadith of Qatada, during the time of the Jahiliyah, they used to sell commodities, products, merchandise, and they will sell it on a credit, interest free. A camel, a land, a house, you name it. Say, okay, as they say it now here, remember, 90 days as on cash. You know all these things, or 60 days as in cash. I forget the term, you see it on these places. On a credit as in cash for 90 days. So this used to be practiced. They will have a commodity sold or a service sold. Say, okay, for the next 6 months, you have 6 months to pay me. And if you pay me on the due date, it will be
Sheikh, we cannot hear you.
everybody is calling now. After the
Sheikh, we couldn't hear the beginning part, so could you please repeat that?
okay, it used to be they used to sell, to trade, to sell on a credit. And you sell to a credit, either a commodity or a service. You say, okay, there is no interest. And you have 6 months or more or less to pay it. If you pay on time, on the due date, there will be no interest against you. However, if you are late, after 6 months, then the interest will be charged. This is the Riba of Jahiliyah, or another form of Jahiliyah, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbade and abolished it. Good so far? So just because the initial loan is interest free does not necessarily make it what? Halal. What makes it haram is says that if you do not pay on certain time, interest will be charged, late fees will be charged, penalties will be charged, whatever name they use, this will make it haram. Regardless if the loan is cash or the sale was on a credit, still haram, which is no different than debit cards, charge cards in any way, shape, or form, except that is now it is done electronically and you use a plastic card. Good so far?
No, sure.
طيب. Now, here in my note says, ومن هذا يتبين لكل منصف مريد للحقيقة أن ربا الجاهلية هو عين عقد بطاقة الائتمان الربوية. It says the المعاصرة. It said from those narrations it will become so clear for anyone, for any fair person who is seeking the truth, that Riba al-Jahiliyah was the same exact contract. The contract of Riba al-Jahiliyah is the same exact contract of the credit slash charge card that is used nowadays. وقد حرمه الله تعالى في كتابه وسنة رسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم أشد التحريم. Still, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it haram, made it unlawful in his book, Al-Quran al-Kareem, and the sunnah of his messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam in the strongest ways of prohibition. وأبطله and abolished it. وجعله من كبائر الذنوب المهلكة في الدنيا والآخرة, and considered it among the major sins that destroys the person in this life and the next. Any question? Any question?
I'm good, Sheikh.
Okay. Everybody is good?
Yes.
طيب. Next title. What's the time? What's the time?
It's 11:15, Sheikh.
Okay, we still have time. Next title. بيان أن ربا الجاهلية إنما كان قرضا مؤجلا بزيادة مشروطة فأبطله الله تعالى وحرمه. Showing or illustrating that Riba al Jahiliyah was Riba al Jahiliyah was a loan with the agreement, with a pre-condition that an interest, an extra will be charged. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala abolished it and made it haram, made it unlawful. What does that mean? Lately, and I'm talking lately in the last 30 some years, somebody came with a theory, and that's why I wrote a huge, humongous book about it. They say, well, as long as the interest is conditional, agreed on it before the loan is issued, then this is a halal penalty. It is a halal condition. It is haram only if it is not stated in the loan, the contract of the loan. And this is very, very wrong, very, very untrue. All the loans during the time of the Jahiliyah, they were conditional. And the major condition in it was that an interest will be charged. Either the interest will be charged initially at the time of giving the loan, or if you are late, you will what? You will pay the interest or the late fees or the penalties. Clear so far? So far?
So they said that if it's conditional, it's not haram. Is that what they said?
Yes, it is halal. It's lawful. It is good.
So
Yes.
so that means they're making the grace period as halal.
Say it again.
So basically what they're trying to do is make the grace period part halal, like the credit card transaction halal.
Of everything, all the loans halal. All the loans halal. And that's why I wrote my thesis about it in Arabic. I heard it unfortunately from some practicing Muslims, not just some people who are very lenient in their religion. They said if the interest is conditional, it's agreed upon before signing the contract, then it is halal, because this is a penalty condition, and penalty condition is allowed.
So Sheikh, you may cover this, but is penalty condition allowed?
Is penalty condition allowed?
No.
In general, no, but there is certain condition that is allowed.
Um,
Go ahead.
it'd be good if we could cover that, Sheikh. I mean, I don't know if you want to.
We are going to cover it, inshallah.
Like,
But quickly to put your mind at ease, a condition, any financial condition is not allowed. However, the only condition that is allowed is if you do not deliver. What does that mean? Let's assume that we agreed, and this is some of the scholars, not my position. My position is different, totally different. But I do not have a problem with a person if he chooses this. It says that you are going to build my house. It's going to build me a house, and it's going to take you 6 months. And because it is 6 months, I am paying you $600,000. Good so far?
No.
Now let's assume that you built it in 1 year. Could be there is a penalty that the price will drop to a half or to a third or to whatsoever. That means I will deduct from the money that I offered you. Many of the scholars, I can say the great majority of the scholars, they say yes, it is allowed. Another condition, I hired you to work every day 8 hours. And I'm paying you a salary based on 8 hours work per day. And I'm giving you $100 per day. If you work 7 hours, would I deduct the difference? The great majority of the scholars, they say yes. I have no problem with a person who adopts this position in any way, shape, or form. Okay? So this is the only legitimate condition that I come across that the scholars, the reliable scholars, approved.
So just to clarify the house example, what you're saying is the condition posed is if, for example, you're not able to deliver the home in 6 months and you go beyond that, then I'm going to deduct 10,000 or 100,000, what have you. And that's predetermined, like in the contract. That's okay.
Yes, okay. The great majority of the scholars, they say yes. They're saying that you are going to finish it in 6 months, unless of course there is an earthquake or something. But instead of 6 months, it says you finish these things. So it said what? The condition saying what? If you finish it in 6 months, you get the $600,000. But yes, if it is 7 months, then it's not going to be the 600. If it is in a year, it's not going to be a 600. Then there will be terms on the contract to decide what you agreed upon.
Sheikh, this is just going back to the previous classes that we have had. One of the classes that you mentioned is if you have pre-negotiated the transaction, there's no loan in this, right? It's a transaction. In this case, you can say, okay, if you pay me by this stage, you'll get this much. If you pay me by this stage, you'll get this much. Won't this be the same scenario?
It is.
Okay.
It's exactly the same.
Okay, got you.
However, this has to be detailed in the contract. Same thing.
Yeah.
Good?
Yes.
So it's no different whatsoever.
Okay,
good?
Thank you. Yes, Jazakallah.
Any question? Any question? No. طيب. So we are going to show that all the loans during the time of the Jahiliyah, they had this precondition. And the precondition that if you are late, you are going to be charged interest. So it was predetermined. So it was conditional. There is nothing in you. As we say it always, even the people of the bid'ah, they do not have even the smart enough to come with a new bid'ah. They keep just circulating the same things. And let me quote some of the scholars. But before that, بيان أن اشتراط الزيادة في أول عقد لا يجعلها شرطا جزائيا حلالا. Illustrating that stating paying interest or extra money at the beginning of the contract does not make it lawful condition, lawful penalty, lawful condition. Whether you state it or you do not state it, charging interest is not allowed. Whether it is conditional or not conditional, it is not allowed whatsoever. Sorry, whether conditional at the beginning of the contract or later on at the end of the contract does not make it what? A lawful penalty. Clear so far? Clear, inshallah?
No. So basically, if I do it, if I pre loan decide later on, it's both haram, is what you said.
Yes, because we said what? It could be the loan has a grace period. And the grace period says that if you do not pay at the end of the grace period, there will be an interest. And you agree on that, correct?
No.
And the other one, it says, well, from the beginning, if you are late, you are going to pay what? An interest.
No.
Or it says, I'm going to give you the loan now, and I am going to start charging you interest the minute we are going to sign the contract.
No.
Both are what? Are unlawful. Haram, riba, usury, interest. Good?
No.
So far?
No.
Okay. Imam al-Jassas al-Hanafi, who died on the year 370 of Hijrah. Why I'm quoting those names and the dates of the death of these people? Anybody knows why I emphasize the full name and their madhab and the date of their death?
Last time you mentioned, at least if I recall correctly, at least the reason why you state the date of the deaths is to show this is very old. This is nothing new.
Excellent. This is not something new. This is not, oh, you have this new things. You are covering up something. No, this is ancient. This is old. This is from day one. Thank you for keeping it in mind. Thank you. طيب. قال الإمام الجصاص الحنفي المتوفى عام 370 هجرية. Imam al-Jassas al-Hanafi from the Hanafi school. He's a mufassir, mainly who died on the year 370 of Hijrah, rahimahullah. In his book, Ahkam al-Quran, the rules of al-Quran, Surah al-Baqarah, verse 275. He says, أنه معلوم أن ربا الجاهلية إنما كان قرضا مؤجلا بزيادة مشروطة. He said it is very well known that riba al-jahiliyah was a loan was a loan to be paid on a certain date with the provision that there will be extra, with the condition an extra money will be charged. فكانت الزيادة بدلا من الأجل, and the زيادة, the extra, it was in exchange of the extended time. So well, because this is the argument. So you are going to pay me in 10 days, on 10 years. The value of the money can be this, and the value of the purchasing power of the money can be this and that. Same arguments. So he says it is very well known that Riba of Jahiliyah was a loan to be paid on a certain time, with the condition that they are going to charge extra, charge interest, and this interest, this extra, in exchange for the extended time. I'm giving you a loan for 6 months, and for this 6 months, I am going to charge you 5%. I'm going to charge you $5. I'm going to charge you $500. Whether it is a certain amount or a percentage, it does not change the ruling. And he says, فَأَبْطَلَهُ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى وَحَرَّمَهُ. And still, with that condition, precondition, Allah abolished it and made it haram. وقال سبحانه وتعالى وإن تبتم فلكم رؤوس أموالكم. And Allah said what? If you repented, you are entitled only for your capitals. وقال تعالى وذروا ما بقي من الربا. And throw away, literally, ذروا from ذروا, like it's you put something, scoop it, and you throw it what? In the air. وذروا ما بقي من الربا. And throw away, leave, abandon, forsake whatever left of the riba. حذر أن يؤخذ للأجل عوض. حذر أن يؤخذ للأجل عوض. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbade to charge any extra for the time of the loan. Good so far? Good.
No, Sheikh. There was a very important question I was going to ask, but I forgot.
Ask, go ahead.
No, Sheikh, I forgot. His statement, he said something, and I said, okay, I'll wait, and maybe you'll cover it later. But
Inshallah, inshallah. Next time, jolt a note for yourself.
Inshallah.
طيب. Again, وقال الإمام الجصاص الحنفي, same person, same place. وقوله تعالى وحرم الربا. And the saying of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah forbade riba. أحل الله البيع وحرم الربا. Allah made the bay', the trade, the sale halal, and forbade riba. حكمه ما قدمناه من الإجمال والوقف على ورود البيان. فمن الربا ما هو بيع ومنه ما ليس ببيع وهو ربا أهل الجاهلية وهو القرض المشروط فيه الأجل وزيادة مال على المستقرض. He said, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said Allah allowed the trade and forbade riba, interest, usury, he said, among the riba used to be either sale on a credit, and used to be something what was not sale, was cash, giving money, cash loans. And both are riba ahlul jahiliyah, the riba of the people of the jahiliyah, the practice by the people of the jahiliyah. وهو القرض المشروط فيه الأجل وزيادة مال على المستقرض, which is riba al-jahiliyah, which used to be practiced by the people of the jahiliyah. He said what? It used to be a loan to be paid on a future date with the condition that extra money will be charged from the person who took the loan, regardless if it was a sale or it was what? Cash loan. Both they have to be paid on a future date, and because they are to be paid on a future date, and extra money is to be charged. I bought the car for $10,000. I'm supposed to pay it after 10 months. Now it is not $10,000 anymore, it's $12,000. Or I borrowed $10,000 to be paid after 6 months. Now I have to pay it back $12,000. Why? This extra? Because of the time. Clear so far? Clear, inshallah?
نعم.
Any question? Good?
نعم.
طيب. I assume we covered 1 hour, correct?
نعم.
Okay. Let's stop here, inshallah, and we'll pick up next week because I assume that I have another class.
The assumption is correct. Alhamdulillah.
نعم.
I said the assumption is correct.
Good. Alhamdulillah. طيب. Inshallah, we'll catch up from where we left. Somebody reminds me, it's on my notes, page number 8, 3rd paragraph. Write it, please. Page number 8, 3rd paragraph. Good so far?
Yes.
Okay. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Please keep us in your dua. Please keep my daughter is in your dua. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and bless your families.
Jazakallah khair.
جزاك الله خير.
See you soon,
Assalamu
inshallah.
alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.